Hey, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's not muted anymore. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Uh, so you want to press the big red button? In this case, it's a good thing. Oh, it's going. Nice. Awesome. Cool. We'll do it live. Uh, how's everybody doing? All right. So this is the first showcase for Moonlight, and the showcase is 7 presentations today by your fellow cadets that have been working really hard. So as 42 students, we're all swimming in the same waters, right? We have a curriculum in C that's pretty hard and has very little immediate gratification. So a lot of us do things like play video games, ping pong, or like in my case, I play a bunch of poker and I don't win often. So we do something to distract us from how broken our code ends up being, right? Like it's C, it happens often. So the people that are being presented today, they've been working on side projects to satisfy that itch. Some of the projects are hackathon projects that have been continued. Some of them are old projects that they've dusted off to keep working on. Some of them are just things that they had problems with that they solved for themselves or solved for the community, problems that they've seen a lot of us have and decided to do something about it. They've worked their ass off on these projects as well as on presentations. They've actually all gone through a pretty intense pitch practice crash course, which would not have been possible without the help of some of the pitching coaches that we had, which include Queenie Ho, Pete Swanson, Dan Goncharov, Charlie Summers. Without these 4 people, the presentations would have not quite have been as developed as they are today. So I'm extremely happy for the first showcase to start, and you should all be very proud of your fellow community members that have been able to produce some really cool shit. So we're gonna start with Zach. Yeah, Postmates Dash is starting, followed by Volume Control Utility on deck. And let me move that. You got it? Cool.
Come on. All right, there we go. All right, microphone's working. So my name is Zach Smith. I'm going to be presenting an application that I was working on prior to coming to 42 and have since worked on. What it is a dashboard for Postmates drivers. And for those of you who don't know what Postmates is, it's a service similar to DoorDash or Grubhub. And prior to coming to the Piscine, I drove for them a little bit and was kind of frustrated by the data that they provided you. The way that they provided you data was a list of all the deliveries that you did. So there was no way to know how much money you had made for a week or a month, and then there were other things that I wanted to know as well. So I'll get into it, and you can see what I came up with. So logging in right at the top, you can see your hourly rate, your total job count, and your total earnings, which is something that wasn't available before. You can also see in your dashboard what you've done for the work that you've done for the past week, so aggregated on a daily basis. And that's separated by your tips and your payout. And then that also can show you for the last 30 days and for all time. So another thing I was curious about is when was the best time to drive? So how do I optimize my driving? And I started to just see what my hourly rate was at different times. And what this chart shows is for every hour of the week, what the best time to drive is. And the darker blocks are where I made the most money. And hopefully, if I ever get more people to join it, that this graph will be completely filled out and it'll be a more robust data set for making decisions on. And then the last metric that I've built out so far is your earnings grouped by restaurant. So you have a decision on which restaurants you accept deliveries for. And by using this, you can make a better, more informed decision on what restaurants you want to deliver for. So for instance, you can see that on average, I made about $25 for Peddler's Creamery. But you can also see that I only did one job for Peddler's Creamery. So that could easily be an anomaly and not the actual truth. So what I would do then is to sort by the number of jobs. And here you can see for a restaurant called Cafe Gratitude, which I've done 6 deliveries for, I averaged $11.50 per trip. So that's a pretty good one, and I'll probably go back and definitely accept jobs from that merchant. So then for the rest of the site, here on your job list, you have a list of all the different shifts that you've done and the jobs that you've done for each one. And in the case where maybe a customer doesn't tip you right away and tips you a day later, you can come back in here and make an adjustment. And when you save it, it'll give you a green check mark, which means the database has been updated. And then lastly, we have the add data screen. So this is what I consider to be the main crux of the website, so sort of like the biggest problem that I still have to deal with going forward. At the current time, you have to manually enter your data. So I'm going to be trying to figure out ways to get the data to be automatically populated, whether that'll be listening in on the application communicating with their server. I'm not exactly sure, or possibly parsing screenshots, which is another option. But yeah, so this is one of the things I definitely want to work on. But yeah, as you enter in your data, it'll populate down here on the bottom and show you what you just entered. And you have the option to delete it if it's something that you don't like. Yeah, so that's pretty much the whole website. I tried to keep it really simple, but also usable. And it is live on the internet. So if anybody here drives for Postmates or knows someone who drives for Postmates, feel free to direct them to postmates-.com. And I'd love to have them use it and get their feedback on the website. Thank you.
All right. So now we have time for questions. We will be selecting 2 questions before moving on to the next project. So if you have a question, please raise your hand.
Hey, I don't drive for Postmates, and I'm wondering if they record how long it takes to complete a job, so you could actually calculate like your hourly rate on the job. So if it's like really far from where you live, or
well, yeah. So I sort of approximate time by taking the difference between the start time of each delivery. So if there's any downtime in between, that'll skew the number, but it's the best approximation I have without asking myself or other people to actually keep track of the time of the deliveries.
One more question. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now coming up is volume control utility, followed by Arc Resource Calculator is on deck. It's going to take us a second to set up the AV equipment and switch mics. We're still doing the single mic transitions. Yeah. Cool. What do you call Emilio Estevez, who's late to the doctor?
Testing. Yes.
Emilio is late. All right. We're gonna start in just a second.
Yes. Cool. Give me a sec. I got this. Okay. Thank you. Volume test.
Yep.
Not all the way up, but. Okay.
This presentation has to do with sound. Are you plugged in?
Yes, I'm plugged in.
I mean, to the projector.
Not yet, but. Cool. Wait a sec.
All right, all right.
Good.
And we'll be starting in just about 15 to 30 seconds.
Okay. Hello, I'm John Yildirim, and I'm going to show you guys Volume Control Utility, an application that I wrote. Okay, I'll first start by showing you guys a demonstration of a potential use case for my application. So, for example, say you're listening to music, and you go to open Chrome, your web browser. And YouTube videos start auto-playing in the background, right? So with a physical keyboard shortcut, I can just turn down the volume of Google Chrome. See? Much better. And leaving the music volume alone. Okay, the reason I built this program was to resolve a problem I had. So I was gaming, and inside a full screen game, where adjusting volume is very tedious if you're trying to adjust like multiple levels. So like let's say you're listening to music while gaming, or you are chatting with a friend online while gaming. And so if you can't hear your music, can't hear your friend, or your game volume is too loud, what I was doing at the time was just going into game menus and playing with volume sliders, and then going back in game, checking it, and repeating until it was acceptable. So I developed this program to do that with shortcuts. So I can use physical keyboard shortcuts to adjust the game volume independently of the music volume or voice volume. So that way I can immediately adjust the audio levels without leaving my game. Okay, now I'll show you guys a little bit of the UI. So here it is. So here I have two groups that I created, music and web. And so you can create a group by just typing in here, new group, or any other group name. And then you can go to set your key bindings. So volume up and volume down for this new group you created. So in this case, I'll just do volume up is Control O, and volume down is Control L. And then save the key bindings. And then you select which programs you want to add to this group. So in this case, I'm just going to add Chrome. So you can hear the volume went up, and I'm going to use the new shortcuts to turn the volume back down. So you guys can check out my my code and my product over at GitHub. So just search group volume control, and it will be the first repository there. Just scroll down, and here's my download link right here. So I hope you guys get as much use out of it as I did. Thank you very much.
All right, time for questions. Does anyone have a question? So we have time for 2 questions.
What languages or language did you use?
I use C# in developing my program, along with the Windows API for controlling the audio.
Hi, what is the difficult challenge that you solved while developing this software?
Difficult challenge.
The question
okay.
was, what was the difficult technical challenge that you found solving this problem?
The biggest technical challenge, which I'm still slightly struggling with, is when to like refresh, like detect which applications are currently running. That is one of the current things I'm working with, and right now it's a little bit slower, the program, because it's multiple times checking very often. So I need to find a way to make that more optimized. Does that answer your question? All right, cool.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up. Next up is Arc Resource Calculator. On deck, Marvin. So while we transition, you can just leave the charger. Just leave the charger. While we transition, I found jokes. What did one ocean say to the other ocean? Nothing. They just waved. Why does a milking stool only have 3 legs? Because the cow has the udder. Ads. What? No, like it was just an ad. We would like to thank our sponsors, 42, for loaning us this space and wonderful time slot. What did one cannibal say to the other while they were eating? A clown. Does this taste funny to you? She knows all of them. Are we reading from the same list? Oh, you don't have a phone. God. You made the list? Oof. I'm sorry. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. All right, I think we're doing all right. Cool.
All right. So, hey guys, I'm Akia Vongdara, and I've been working on an app called Arc Resource Calculator. And has anyone here ever played Arc? Couple people. So Arc is actually a short name for Ark Survival Evolved, and it's an open world survival game where you can tame dinosaurs. And to survive, you have to build a base, weapons and tools, but you have to collect all the resources yourself manually. And so I created this app to help me calculate the resources for this application. And so here's the application. These are all the filters that you can select to filter out for your items. So we're going to look at structures. So let's say I want to build a small fort, maybe a metal fort. and that will require like a metal foundation, let's say and some walls as well. This will get me like the basic resources needed. As you can see, it doesn't add the metal ingots on here because every metal ingot requires 2 metal resources. So you take a look, metal ingots, that metal ores, it takes 2. So everything here updates real time, right? And the reason why I created this app was just because I want to learn web development. And I've been playing this game for a long time. I know a lot of the problems I had. It was confusing for me to calculate the resources. I needed something quick. And there were some sources out there for me, but they were out of date. They didn't have the items I needed. And I thought, hey, why not create an app that has all these updated items? And so that's how I got it started. And since April of last year, I've had a pretty good growth in number of users, as you could see here. So these are sessions. So in the beginning, I had a few sessions a day. This spiked up because I posted on Reddit, and a lot of people saw. But I also made a mistake by posting it when the app wasn't ready, and people were like saying like, "Oh, there are problems with this, and it doesn't work. I'm not going to use it anymore." But over time, organically, like just kept going up. And it's averaging about 200 sessions a day now. It reached its peak around 260. Out of all the sessions, about 40% are new, and 55% are returning, right? But also, not just the US people use it, but almost everybody, like a lot of people around the world. So we have people from Russia, China, a lot from the United Kingdom and Canada as well, even from Brazil. But hopefully, in the future, right, I plan to expand more into other applications like Rust or Minecraft. This is just a template. I've been working on a web crawler to help gather all the resources and data for this application because so far I've been doing it manually. And it takes up a lot of time and work. So, but I have a web crawler, but it's not automated. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, we have time for 2 questions. Who has a question?
I noticed that the US has a lot more traffic. Are those just you testing your application, or are they unique hits?
Yeah, I've tested it in almost every state, so.
One more question.
Can you tell a bit what's under the hood? What technologies, frameworks did you use to make it work?
Yeah, I use the mean stack, so that's Mongo, Express.js, Angular, and Node.js. And that's it. Like, I use Heroku to deploy my application as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Marvin. On deck is Party Wave. So I have more bad jokes while he's getting set up. Oh, he's looking like he's pretty quick. Okay. Don't worry, there's plenty of time for bad jokes. Wait. You're good.
Okay. How do vaccinated cows protect themselves from disease? Herd immunity. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Kane York. I'm a cadet here at 42. I've also done other work in the past on Minecraft mods and with Let's Encrypt. But today I'm showing you Marvin. So Marvin is a Slack bot for our Slack here at 42. So in case you don't know what Slack is, it's a communications platform designed for businesses' internal communication, which means that we're using it for communications for everyone here at 42, which means that there's a couple things that don't line up quite right with Slack. Marvin tries to paper over a couple of those. You can see with the logs and the private channel limitations. Another problem, and one that I've seen in the past, is so our Slack is open to the public. Anyone that gets the invite can join. And so people often have the same questions. And I saw years ago with a support IRC, people would come in and they usually have the same questions. So it was natural to write a program to respond to them. And the answers are changing, so we made it runtime configurable. And that gave birth to the factoid system. And that's what I'll be focusing on today. So a factoid is a piece of text, and when you say an exclamation point and then its name, it gets pulled out from the database and sent to the channel. And so the website has a list of all the factoids, and you might notice something odd. That's not text, that's code. So it can run code stored in a factoid. And I'm going to do a brief demo of writing a factoid right here. So there are simple replacements. So you can say, Marvin, remember, hello is hello with the person who ran the factoid. And if we do hello, and it tags the account that signed in the response. And I mentioned storing useful data that people ask for often. So the hours for the cafeteria. That's there's a little bit of flavor in there too. And so yeah, running code. Well, what's a bit of useful information that you could get with code? Well, we have the menu available over an HTTP API. So we can view the source. And you can also, factoids can refer to each other. So we can do chain cantina with the spam factoid, which repeats its input multiple times, and then flip, which turns the text upside down, and then paste, which creates a paste bin of it. And we get this. So yeah, that's a good overview. Oh, and right here we have weather, which is a factoid that was created today. A incoming Piscine student had an idea. They started trying to make it, and I finished it. Yeah. So those of you who are 42 students, I invite you to go experiment and try creating your own factoids. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. 2 questions. We have time for 2 questions. Does anyone have a question? All right.
What sort of future plans do you have?
Expand the factoid system and add other features as they become apparent. Other features, it will manage private channel invitations. So if you tell the bot to make an invite to a private channel, it shows up. An invite message to a private channel, it shows up on here if you want it to. So yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
We're going to go to the closest person.
So do you ever plan to make Marvin accessible to people outside of the 42 Slack?
Yeah, that's a good question. At present, I do not have any plans to do so. It's certainly possible. I would need to, I believe, remove the 42 intranet code, but there's not much of that. But the primary problem is currently it expects to be only connected to one Slack team at a time.
Yeah, okay.
Any plans for a French version?
Again, it expects to only be connected to one team at a time, but I could see doing that. Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Up next, we have Party Wave with Plunder Phenom on deck. I'm just going to move this computer out of the way. So, it's time for more bad jokes. I hope you're all very excited. This is what you came for, right? What's something that's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. If you ever get cold, just stand in a corner for a bit. They are usually around 90 degrees. What's Forrest Gump's password? Which, for a side note, SHA1 got broken today, which is really scary. But anyway, what's Forrest Gump's favorite password? 1, Forrest, 1. What do you call a belt made out of watches? Close. A waste of time. That's kind of clever, actually. I'm pretty impressed with random memes on the internet. I'm impressed I haven't run into something that I really shouldn't say. A horse walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Why the long face?" Jeez. Well, and my time's up, thank God.
Oh, hello. Okay, good. So, all right. Hey, everyone. I'm Vincent, and I built an iOS app, which is a social drinking game. It's a game where you get to know more about each other. So it's you have 4 and 10 people play this game, and you have to ask and answer questions about each other. So the questions are provided by the game, and you have to progress through waves. So every time a person answers a question correctly, they get added to a wave. And as a group, you need to then progress through multiple waves, which get increasingly difficult as you go along. So there are really 2 main rules to this game. So 1, if you mess up, like if you get a question wrong, you have to finish your entire drink, get a new one. Everyone else has to take a sip, and then you have to start the wave all over again. And rule 2 is if you successfully complete a wave, then everyone has to finish their drink and get a new one. So let's jump in, let's play a game, and let's see what happens, right? So right here, we just press play, and then we can add everyone that we want to add. So I'm going to add myself, Vincent, and then I'm going to add Oliver, Thank you for organizing this, by the way. All right, then I'm going to add Charlie, and then I'm going to add John. Welcome. All right, so now that we've got our 4 people, we can jump straight into the game. So I get the phone. So the game chooses one person randomly to give the phone to at the beginning, and then you can then start the game. So in this case, I have to say this question out loud, and then after I've said that question out loud, I then need to pass the phone to Oliver, and then I have to verbally guess whether that is true or false about Oliver. If I get it right, then Oliver confirms that, and he presses the tick, and then I have been added to the wave. And so since this is wave 1, the questions are pretty easy, so we can keep on going, and everyone gets it correct. So then everyone is in the wave. We complete the wave. And what you see on the screen right now is a drink counter. And because we completed the wave, well, everyone's at 1 and nobody failed. So yeah, we can keep on going. So now we go to wave 2. So now we give the phone to Oliver. So Oliver then obviously has to ask Charlie about that and then guess the answer. And so we just keep on going, and then I have to then ask a question about John. However, in this case, because this is wave 2, I managed to get the question wrong. So then I have to drink. I have to down my entire drink, and then I need to open a new one. Sucks for me, but whatever. And in this case, because we have to start the wave all over again. So we're pretty fortunate. Everyone gets the questions right. So we start the wave over again, and we keep on going like that. So everyone gets the questions right, and we finish the game. Now you can see I'm on 3. I'm getting pretty drunk now. Everyone else is on 2. So that's the game. So the game isn't available quite yet on the App Store. However, I do have a website up right now at partywave.xyz where you can add your emails, and you'll be notified as soon as it's available on the App Store. Thank you.
All right, we have time for 2 questions. Who has a questions about PartyWave? Oh, we got some in the back. Let's give the stare person a chance.
Have you ever had a crush on a friend's parent? No, just sorry. Was this your first app, or have you made an app or something before?
No, I've played around with iOS for about 3.5 years, and this is I've already released 2 apps on the App Store. This is going to be my 3rd one.
Awesome. One more question.
What technologies did you use to build it?
I use Swift, natively built this application with. And for the website itself, I used the main stack, so Angular, Mongo, Express, and Node. Yeah, I built an API to do everything, so yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Plunder Phenom, and on deck is our last presentation, Wizard Simulator.
Tell them how much better the game is than the thing I'm about to present, so that way the live stream people stay.
No. Thank God I'm the only one that has a mic. So more bad jokes. Did you hear about the 2 guys that stole a calendar? Jesus Christ. They each got 6 months. Why can't bicycles stand on their own? They are, well, yeah, they're too tired. Yeah, that's. Why can't you hear a I'm really bad at pronouncing dinosaur names. Pterodactyl. There we go. Why can't you hear there's a P in front. Why can't, it's like we don't pronounce terabyte. Well, actually we pronounce it terabyte, so but there's no P involved. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl going to the bathroom? Because the P is silent. This should just do it. Okay.
Of course, I have the most complex setup. And you don't even get to see what I made because this thing doesn't work with my computer. My computer's black, so my theory is that the projector's racist.
No.
Please
Stop
clap.
it. Hey,
And now we're booting up the program.
it's saying it's off. Oh, come on now. Nope, that's not. I'm trying to get the computer too. So let's do that.
There we go.
Okay, well.
Oh, wait, that's right. I almost forgot the most important part for the audio
Yeah, you need the
presentation.
audio for the audio presentation. That's right.
The cable. Really? I was working before. Someone must have kicked us.
So it should be this black one, yeah.
Woo. I'm going to make a sound now.
Okay.
Oh, that's so impressive. I love that. All this is so that way you can like scan a QR code and go to my Twitter page.
It flashed.
All of that.
Oh, what's...
There we go. It's better.
Come on. Yes.
Yeah!
Woo!
Hey
Sorry
guys.
about that, folks.
Are we good to go, Oliver? Yeah, you can go. Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Fredericks. I've been doing sound design for over 10 years. And today I'm going to present to you an oscillator I've been working on, and it's called Plunder Phenom. So it's built inside of Reactor, which is a visual programming language for doing digital signal processing. So DSP is basically mathematics that you use in hardware and small systems to control. So instead of like using analog components, you can use the digital processor to recreate like a couple $100 of analog components with just like a $10 microcontroller. So that's the general reason why I always work on these things around here, and I'm always telling you all to get involved with hardware. So I'm going to stop yammering on, and I'm just going to go right into the demo of the oscillator. So this is a multi-purpose sound source. So you load in a sample. Right now it's just a sine wave. And then you can play it chromatically. Yay, that's nice. But we can also change the wave shape. So now I'm fading to a triangle wave. Then we're going to fade to a saw wave. And then, ooh, let me turn that down. That's pretty gnarly. There we go, saw wave, and then a square wave. And now this gets interesting, because I'm modulating the square wave. So now, right now, these samples are really short. These are just single cycle samples of any source. This thing automatically puts the pitch of any waveform put into it to C. So these are all actually like random pitches like C0 or F sharp 6 and weird things like that. So this is all crossfading happily into the same pitch. So I had to work on the pitch detection algorithm for that. So now I'm going to go into the more complex waves. So we went from sine to triangle to square to saw. And I'm going to fade from square to this other square, essentially. Yeah, there we go. Wait, where is it? Yeah, this one. And then. Great bass on those speakers, guys. So basically, this is a really nice bass waveform that's really hard to make with an analog piece of hardware or software. Yeah, analog is now software. So anyway, and then you just crossfade it still. And now we're going through these basic wave shapes, but with drawings over them that are phase synchronized ring modulators. So just as an example here, this is the sine wave from earlier with a drawn envelope over it. And we have two different envelopes we can look at. We can have this rough one, or we can have the smooth one. So that's like two different ways to do it. So I can also crossfade back to this triangle wave here. Oop, sorry. So let's see, here's the triangle wave. And then just as another example, I will make it a harsh crossfade as well. So what this lets you do, it lets you change a whole bunch of sounds in many different ways to get many different results. And here's a fun one. So it's the exact same oscillators that we had before, but what it's going to do this time is I'm going to press a key, and it's going to fade through it automatically for me. Yay! And now, of course, you can also load in really big samples. So here's an example of that. So we're going to look at this first waveform. Oh, that's too low. There we go. You hear the click? Let's get rid of that click. This is a crossfade algorithm I also worked on this project. So basically you can load in whatever. And it just goes on forever smoothly. So now I can go ahead and sweep through here and show you that we have different pitches on these. So you can get this nice chorusing effect. And then of course we can also crossfade to different sounds. If I knew how to play, that could be like a fat dance lead right there. Make some money on that. And the last thing I'll show you with is this piano drone. So it's just going to sweep automatically through here for me. And it's just going to compose this god-awful like thing. Yeah, you guys wanted to hear this today, didn't you? Yeah. So glad I didn't hook up this audio for the live stream. Any questions? Because this won't stop until I get a first question.
All right, first question.
Kane, weren't you listening?
What program are you using to make this again?
This is Reaktor, R-E-A-K-T-O-R, because Native Instruments, they love shoving K's in everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So are you just using the processor, or is there any hardware assist?
Right now, no. This is absolutely hardware-free. You can actually hook a MIDI controller to it because these knobs, unfortunately, I can't show you anything, but I worked on a lot of visual aspects of it. So these knobs, actually, you can bring in modulation sources from hardware, 8 of them, you know, A through H. And then these knobs actually have mixers built into them. So you right-click it, and then you increase the slider to positive or negative modulation amounts, and then it'll play that, and it'll show you that. And the cool thing is that since there's 8, it's hard to keep track of that, but when the modulation select is off, the knobs actually light up with pi wedges to show you which modulation sources you're using so you can track that live without having to be like, oh, what am I using?
All right, thank you very much.
Woo!
All right, our last presentation is the Wizard Simulator. And then, before then, more bad jokes. You can, oh, I guess you can do the mic switch yourself. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll just let him. Harry Potter? Harry Potter, yeah. I'd have to Google search more bad jokes from Harry Potter, which would be topical, but I didn't think far enough in advance. Clearly, I'm thinking in far enough in advance. What's blue and smells like red paint? Blue paint. What does a flamingo stand? Why does a flamingo stand on one leg? Oh, well, actually, no, I'm not to plug this in. Why does a flamingo stand on one leg? If it didn't stand on any, it'd fall over. I think flamingos can't fly, which is their principal problem. They can. Oh, they can fly? Well then, I don't know enough about flamingos. Oh. That's good. Just shove it in the... Yes. It's probably on the other side. If you need to move it, we can. Okay. No. Untiltable. Yes, be careful with the computer. What's the best thing about living in Switzerland? The flag is a big plus. No. A toothless termite walks into a bar and asks, "Is the bartender here?" I don't even get that one. How does a train eat? It goes chew, chew. What's gray and can't fly? This one's pretty good. A parking lot. Hey, we have visuals.
All right. Just trying to make sure this doesn't fall off. It's not my computer. Okay. I am Carlos Ramirez. I'm really good at starting games, and I'm horrible at finishing them. This is a little pet project of mine that I've picked up since I came to 42, and it is called Wizard Simulator, or my pet title is actually Speak and Spell. Don't think I put that on the program. So, anyways, this might be a little bit difficult, but the core of the game is it's kind of a light puzzle action first-person gig where you make spells with your voice, and I don't know if that feature is actually going to work today because I just re-implemented it in like the last 10 minutes that I had to prepare to come here. So let's just make or break it right now. I do have key bindings here. You can pick the spell words just with the keys, but that's no fun. So let's see. Missile. Nope, doesn't work. Okay. No, let's try it again. Missile. Nope, still doesn't work. Okay, well, let's just pretend that the voice recognition is working. So the spells are made out of little component pieces. So you have like your basic spells, like a missile, which you just kind of throw around. And then you have effects like burning, which don't actually do anything on their own, but missile is kind of the default here. So you can attach these effects to the basic spells, like burning missile, and I swear to God this did work. The judges can attest to this. At one point it was working. If you see, I've attached the burning component to the missile. Now it is a burning missile. And so the idea behind the game is to have a kind of consistent grammar for creating your own spells and kind of having a free-form spell casting kind of action puzzle game where you can solve things your own way, basically. And here's kind of a little basic enemy that just shoots missiles at you. He's not really much of a threat. So, let's say you have an issue here where there's an enemy off in the distance who is completely non-threatening, and you need to dispatch him, but all you have is the missile at your disposal. But you do have this levitating component which you can attach to the missile, and now it becomes a floating missile and it just travels in a straight arc. But you can combine any number of words together and say you want to do a little bit more damage. Now it's a burning levitating missile. So there's a lot of possibilities for how you can combine things here. And there's some context-sensitive words like impart. And let me just suicide here so I can respawn everything. Mouse is a little touchy right now. But let's say you have the burning component, but you can change the context of it with the impart word so that now when I hit this little wizard here, he catches on fire rather than the missile being on fire itself, and he takes damage over time. In addition, you have other properties that you can modify, like, say, the size of something. Let's see, you can impart lesser size missile, and that would shrink anything that you shoot, which would include any obstacles, trees, even the enemies in the game, which I will demonstrate over here. We have an extra large wizard. And now we can take him down to size, and you can do it again if you want to. You could even go in the other direction. Let's see, I think it's that. So we could go bigger, 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 and bigger. So there's a lot of fun to be had with this, and there's a few glitches with the whole size changing thing that I have to iron out, but here's a little end of demo here. Thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
2 questions. Any questions for the wizard? Period. For the wizard.
No questions. I guess it's self-explanatory.
Oh, we got one question.
Oh.
So when did you decide to make it public?
I mean, as soon as it's done. It's kind of a Gabe Newell answer, but like, when is it going to be done? I don't know. Maybe a couple months. Depends. Haven't really, like I said, I'm good at starting these things. I'm like not really great at finishing them, but this is the one I've committed to the longest, and I've put the most work into. So I'm quite proud of it at this point. Kind of want to finish it.
Next question.
So you said it was a pet project that you started when you came to 42. So what like was your inspiration? What caused you to think this up? And then also, what did you use to make it?
Well, I'll answer the second one first. It's Unity, and as you can see, I've made it look like a really retro kind of. This is like the resolution of Doom here, and it's like unlit shaders, so there's no shadows or lighting or anything involved. But the inspiration, I guess, you know, I like the idea of making games. It's kind of something I've always wanted to do, and I really like playing games. But, you know, a lot of the ideas for games that I have are things that other people have done a lot better. And so I figure if I'm going to make any games, I should do something that's a little more untested and, you know, unexplored, something weird, you know. And this is kind of one of those weird ideas, and I don't think it's super marketable, but it's kind of interesting because I've only seen one game do this before, and it was not very good. So wanted to take a crack at it.
We're going to take one more question.
Okay.
What do you think there are some useful games?
Useful games? I mean, that's a big question. I think a lot of games are useful. I mean, at a fundamental level, you know, I learned how to read by playing games, and my first words were game and over. So, you know, like I didn't do a lot of reading. I still don't really read, and I have a pretty decent vocabulary for someone that didn't really pick up a lot of books as a kid. And I owe a lot of that to games, and there's a lot of problem-solving skills that you just sort of innately pick up from like RPGs, things like resource management and problem-solving, decision-making. You know, I think games are just important in general as part of our culture. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's all we have for today. Thank you all for coming. Can we please get one more round of applause for all the participants? They put in a lot of effort. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one, guys. Thanks, Oliver. Cool.